a service of C&C Worldwide.
Yeah, hi, Topher. I think the Patriots are going to kick butt. I don't think anyone else has another chance at winning.
Yeah, hi, Topher. I'm just calling to say that go Patriots. Topher, I'm just going to say that Seahawks are the team to beat easily. I don't care what you're saying about the Patriots. Seattle's the reigning Super Bowl champs, so the Patriots got to take them down.
Hey, Topher, I really just think that the Patriots are a way better team. And Tom Brady, go Tom Brady.
Yeah, I'm a hipster from Seattle, and Seattle's really going to win the Super Bowl.
Whoa, all right there. Settle down. So first we're going to do a special edition, the Super Bowl podcast, and then I'm going to get into the SportsROC report. So we have a special guest in our studio today, Mike from Macedon. We're going to talk with him a little bit about it, and also I'm going to talk about at the end other opportunities, how other people can get on the podcast. So here's Mike from Macedon. Mike, who do you think is the better team in the Super Bowl?
I think it's hard to repeat in the NFL, although Seattle has a really good shot. I think they played in Arizona before, obviously because Arizona is NFC, and they end up playing them sometimes. I don't think they play that great in that stadium. And I think the way they got there with Green Bay shows that they're not the same team as last year, although they know how to win close games. I just think the way the Patriots have finished their season and really kind of gone through the playoffs pretty easily. I know they met their nemesis, Baltimore. They beat them, so their nemesis was out of the way. They rolled through Indianapolis. They've actually had a really good season since everybody said Monday night Kansas City was, after Kansas City beat them, that this is not the same team, and all they've done is rolled since.
So you think clearly the Patriots are the better team on paper?
I think they are the better team on paper, although people will argue that Seattle has the better defense, and defense wins championships. I think they have the better offensive scheme as well as special teams, and I do think this is Brady's year. Although I do like Russell Wilson, I think it's Tom Brady's year, and I think the Patriots, in a close one, sneak by.
Well, most experts are actually leaning towards your side. Patriots are the favorite team, and on paper, I think they look better as well. I don't think Russell Wilson is as mature as he should be yet. I mean, he's 10-0 against Super Bowl winning quarterbacks. He's won the big game already, but clearly I think Tom Brady's a better quarterback, and we're nearing the end of his career. So I don't think he's going to let another Super Bowl slip through his fingers like the last two giant Super Bowls. I mean, last year Russell Wilson looked really good in the Super Bowl, but I really think that's only because Peyton Manning looked so bad, and Peyton Manning just didn't show up to play. So Russell Wilson only had to have an average game to really win that Super Bowl. I mean, his team did really the rest of the work for him. Seattle was the best defense in the league. Not saying their defense is strong, but they're still a very good defense. And the way that Russell Wilson played against the Packers just shows you that he is still a little immature. But Pete Carroll, I really think the game's going to come down to Pete Carroll versus Bill Belichick and who's going to outcoach the other one.
I agree. If you look, I've always said that it used to be a running game and defensive game that won Super Bowls. I think it's quarterback and coach play. And although very close, I would give the edge to both to New England because I think Tom Brady can actually win the game if it's close or they're even behind. Right now, Russell Wilson hasn't shown that this season. I think the defense and special teams for Seattle has kept them in the games and won some big games for them late. So I don't know if Russell Wilson right now, although he has great mobility, better mobility than obviously Tom Brady, but Tom Brady knows how to move out of the pocket when he really needs to, even though he doesn't have that athleticism of Russell Wilson to make the big throws. And I think people like Edelman and Gronkowski all year have been third down and long. If they need that third down and long, I think with Brady and those two, I think they've been doing it this year. And I'm not saying that Golden Tate for Seattle going to Detroit. I think their receiving core has gone down a little bit. I mean, I think that was a big weapon for Russell last year, and I think right now, if I was going to give the edge to the Patriots in the quarterback and coach play, which I think wins Super Bowls and wins championships, I would give it to New England, but a very close one, because Seattle's defense will keep them in.
What do you think about the Patriots with the Deflategate scandal? Do you think that they might have had anything to do with those balls being deflated? 14 out of 15 were.
The only thing I'd say about that is, if it's a strategy that, I didn't like the fact that they did the spy thing with the Jets, the spy, whatever they want to call it. But I don't like cheating, and I don't, basically agree with it. But if it's something that's not getting caught, I'd sit there and I go, well, why isn't it an advantage for another team, and why didn't another team think of it? It's one of these things where I sit here and I go, I do not like the Patriots. But they're very, very smart franchise. I think overall, I think the deflation thing has got way out of whack. I don't think it's a strategy whether or not they had anything to do with it. Think about it. They were beating New England, or they were beating Indianapolis anyways. Mm-hmm. What did they do? They sit there and they go, okay, we were going to deflate the balls in the beginning, and now all of a sudden we're already up 14-0. Let's stop, or whatever it is. I think this one's gotten a little out of hand. I think it would be an advantage to a point in cold weather, but it's just something that I think is blown out of proportion in this case. And I think actually another reason why I think New England's going to win, all this talk about this, they're going to try to shut down everybody and say, you know what, I don't think deflation's going to be anything, because it didn't win me a Super Bowl either. So
yeah, Robert Kraft is pretty angry with the NFL. He says that they probably will owe them an apology when this is all over. Especially, why didn't the referee notice the one that's placing the ball on every single down? So you would think, if they really did do something, he'd have to be involved too, because he's touching the ball every down. What do you think about Richard Sherman and how he played in the NFC Championship?
I think he's a player. I'm not fond of his tactics, but I've never been one, because of my team, the way they've lost over the years. I like the fact that he's confident, and he's never... I don't see him on the field just talking about himself. I do think he is a team player. I think when he's in interviews and he's put on the prime time is when he does his thing where he just tries to get more attention, and it's just his style after the game. But during the game, I don't see a lot of showboating from him, and I also know that he's a gamer, and I'd love to have him on my team. Whether or not he's liked or disliked, if you dislike him and you're not a Seattle fan, you'd want him on your team.
Of course.
He
is. I would agree with him that he's the best of all time, because he doesn't have the years to back it up. He's young.
Right.
But he's definitely the best defensive back, I think, right now in the league. And that first interception in the NFC Championship was impressive. And because of the defense of Seattle holding the Packers off in the beginning, they scored one touchdown in the first quarter, but they held them to field goals the rest of the times, and they got the interception and they stopped him. That was huge. That gave his team a chance. Also, he strained his elbow in the game and kept playing. So I agree with you. He is definitely a team player, but he does talk a lot of smack. On a side note, what do you think of the new format of the Pro Bowl?
I'm not a fan. I like the fact that it's If you're talking about the format on how they're choosing the teams, I do not like it. If you're talking about the fact that they have a game that means something prior to the Super Bowl, they're trying to do something like that and try to make it like an all-star game in baseball. I like the fact, but a Philadelphia Eagle tackling a Philadelphia Eagle. I like the NFC versus the AFC. I like the NBA East All-Stars versus the NBA West All-Stars. I like the National League against the American League, and I like the Western Conference against the Eastern Conference in hockey. I'm not a fan of drafting pool players. I know that these were Pro Bowlers in the way it is. I'm just not a big Team Carter versus Team Irvin. It was too much emphasis on that and not on the players.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, thank you, Mike.
All right. Well, thank you for having me, Chris. I appreciate it.
All right. So you too can be on the C&C SportsROC report. If you send me an email, we'll be able to set something up, and you can also share your thoughts on what you think in the world of sports. All right. So we're going to switch over to the Saturday C&C SportsROC report. The Rochester Nighthawks prevailed 17-11 over the rivals Buffalo Bandits before 6,994 fans at the Conner and Ferris Field at the Blue Cross Arena. Joe Walters was chosen as the number one star of the game as the Irondequoit natives scored 5 goals and added 2 assists. Teammate Dan Dawson dished out a single-game club record with 11 assists, breaking his old mark of 10 assists set on February 15, 2014. The Nighthawks evened their record at 2-2 as Buffalo fell to 2-3 in the Eastern Division. In high school boys basketball on Saturday, in the Aquinas tournament, the Little Irish remained undefeated by downing Webster Thomas 71-51. Melvin Grayson tallied 17 points for Aquinas, which improved to 13-0. Webster Thomas dropped to 7-6. Greece Athena also remained undefeated by edging Jamestown from Section 6 70-69 at Aquinas. Rush Henrietta improved to 11-2 with a 78-57 victory over Irondequoit at Aquinas. Webster Schrader got the best of Edison Tech with a 57-48 win at Aquinas. Andrew Goppy led the Warriors with 14 points as Brandon Gartland added 12 points. Casey Harris contributed 11 points, 8 rebounds, and 4 assists for Schrader. Jared Griffin added 8 points as Figgins collected 7 points and pulled down 9 rebounds. For the Inventors, Quentin Bedell scored a game high of 22 points. Schrader is now 9-4 as Edison fell to 7-7. Pittsford Sutherland downed Wilson Magnet 58-48 at Sutherland. Josh Mack, Ben Swisher, and Jack Ward each scored 14 points to pace the Knights. Devon Campbell led Wilson with 14 points as well. Sutherland upped its record to 7-5 and Wilson fell to 7-7. North Star Christian Academy won the Houghton tournament with a 71-50 victory over the host on Saturday. Rodney Shepard netted a game high of 21 points to lead the Knights. Michael Brown chipped in 16 points as Mike Jones added 15 points and Patrick Medoris had 12 points for the NCA. North Star improved to 14-1 and Houghton dropped to 7-6. The Rochester Americans continued the second of their 8-game road trip with a 3-2 loss to the Adirondack Flames in Glen Falls Saturday night. Jake McCabe and Braden Irwin scored the Amherst goals. Travis Ferrelton played his first game and goal for Rochester and recorded 31 saves in taking the loss. The Amherst do not return home until Friday the 13th against Adirondack. The Rochester Lancers won their second straight game for the first time in a month on Saturday with a 21-12 victory in Harrisburg over the Heat. The win draws the Lancers with a 7-8 record to within 1 game of their rivals, the Syracuse Silver Knights. The Lancers were led offensively by team captain Salais with 5 goals and Andrew Hoxie with 1 goal and 4 assists. Also making his 2014-15 debut with the Lancers was fan favorite Elliot Fosk, who had been out with an injury. Rochester has a bye next weekend before traveling to Baltimore to face the Blast on Friday. The Lancers' next home game is Saturday, February 14th against Harrisburg. That's the C&C SportsROC report for today. Come back tomorrow for the C&C SportsROC report.